Namaste. Here I am again, and I wish to discuss with you on two supreme subjects, science and spiritualism, the subject of spiritualism. Both are supreme, one for the outer and the other for the inner. The definition, or to say what is science, it is the study of the structure of the substance and the essence, the nature of the physical world, through observation, through measurement, through experimentation. It comes to its inference. Whereas spiritualism, on the other hand, is the subject of life. It's the subject of life energy, conscious energy, which we do not experiment. No. We experience our inner as well as the outer self. It is the subject of life. Every object is a part of the subject. And if spiritualism is the subject of life, science becomes its objective for the material self. Because basically, we are spiritual beings going through a human experience where science is included, where our mind becomes scientific. Fine, we may not become scientists, but fine, we are scientific, we are logical, we reason. We are the smartest of all the living creatures. So science is for the physical and spiritualism is metaphysical, beyond physicality. So, what is the difference between science and spiritualism? Very simple, like it is for the living and the non-living. A non-living, you can say, you can bring a watch to life, the mechanics of watch into life, wind it, or through an electric cell. You can bring a vehicle, trigger it with electrical ignition and electricity, and make it move, make it come into life. But is it conscious? No. It requires a conscious principle behind to monitor somehow or the other. You may bring in artificial intelligence to whatever extent, but still there will be some conscious principle behind. And that conscious principle is the subject of life, and that is life. That is the life energy. That is the intelligent energy. The highest attribute of energy, aware conscious energy. Non-living do not have that energy. They do not have that life energy. Whereas living has, plants have. They know how to turn themselves towards the sun. They know how to make the roots go towards where water is. Same is the case with animals. They too are aware and conscious about the external surroundings. Whereas human beings are the creator and the creation. They are the divine. They are not only aware and conscious of the external, they are aware and conscious of the internal also. They have that capacity to and the ability to watch inside their own mind and thoughts, meaning the whole world thinks that they are mind and thoughts. Now over 99%, they're only concerned with the mind and the body, not realizing that the mind and body is yours. You say, my body, my mind, you are not that. But sadly, we are being ruled by it. By the autonomous mechanical mind in its subconscious manner, which means below conscious. Below conscious. So spiritualism is the subject of life. It's the subject of life, which provides you the study of the highest attribute of energy. Energy is the ability to change. Energy is the ability to change, and power is the ability of movement, creating that movement. When I say the highest attribute of energy is that which is divine, that which does not change, that which is eternal, that which is infinite, but which makes all other subset energies change, like nuclear, physical, mental, thermal, electrical, all sorts of subset energies interchange with one another, one energy pushing the other energy, making it move with its ability to change and its power to move the other, to change. But the highest attribute, which the ancient sages declared as per Atma, beyond consciousness, Parameshwar, beyond God, Parabrahman, beyond of all beyond. Par means beyond. The highest attribute of energy, awareness, which is not aware of itself, which is nothing in the universe of nothingness, shunya. It is nothing, but it has the ability to make all other energies change. It is not aware of itself, but it makes the human mind aware. And after that, the mind becomes conscious. After that, the mind becomes conscious of the internal, of its own mind, as well as the external, of its physical world. So science provides us everything that we know of today about the physical world. But spiritualism, sadly, is withering. It's degraded, since nobody understands the sublime subject of life. Nobody bothers. That is why we are imbalanced. Both are equally essential, like two arms, like two eyes, like two ears, like two nostrils. Both are equally essential. But we are not concerned about the spiritual. Concern meaning the majority, over 99% of the population of this world is not interested in the subject of spiritualism per se. And that is why there is so much of chaos. There's so much of misery, depression, anger, jealousy, ego, and all sorts of things. So, what happens? The whole world is tilted towards science. Our mind is scientific, but not spiritual. We are not spiritual. Spiritual means to go towards higher consciousness, from the subconscious level into the conscious level. But neuroscientists today agree that the mind functions over 95% from its subconscious level in an unconscious manner on auto mode for its likes and dislikes, into this and that, randomly and recklessly multitasking, attaining more and more material at whatever cost, at the cost of its health, physical, mental and spiritual, creating disasters all around, inwardly and outwardly, ecologically as well as through material wastage and consumption, excessive material wastage and consumption, wanting more and more than we can consume. So, gradually, for over 2000 years, science has been restricted to the physical world. But then, when it went deeper and deeper, from molecules to atoms, from protons, neutrons to electrons to quarks, what they realized was the physical world is an illusion. We are living in an optical illusion. Deep down, in the nature of reality, is not the physical world. It's the consciousness which creates your reality. It's the consciousness. Everything that exists is because you're conscious about it. It's because you're aware about it. The universe exists with whatever awareness that you have. Without awareness, without consciousness, nothing would exist. Everything is constantly changing in front of you without your realizing. And eventually they realized, and quantum mechanics emerged as the most important discovery of science in the recent years. What the subject of spiritualism had been claiming for over 10,000 years, from Upanishads through its Vedic philosophy, all that exists is one. No, all that exists is not two. Not two. All that exists is Brahman, which we call it as energy today. And the creator and the creation is one. So, when they realized that the physical world does not exist, science was trapped from its physicality. Physics is meant for physicality. They were trapped. But to go towards spiritualism, so most of the pioneers of quantum physics, from Schrödinger, Erwin Schrödinger, to Tesla, to Heisenberg, they all Nobel laureates. They had to refer to the Vedas. They were inspired by the Upanishads to come out with this new theory of science, quantum mechanics. And all of a sudden, consciousness became very important for science, which the Vedas had been declaring in the word called Atman, consciousness, which they segregated into 3 sections. Body consciousness, when you're concerned only with the body, the personality, the persona, the false mask. Then the mental consciousness, when you become aware of your own mind and your own thoughts as to how it's going. When you could see you and feel your own anger. From its feeling level, from its emotional level, and from its spiritual level. From lower to higher consciousness, from ego consciousness to higher consciousness, spiritual consciousness. And the third is the spiritual consciousness, the highest form. When you become aware, when the mind becomes aware of its own awareness, not you, you are that awareness. Your mind becomes aware of its own awareness, its own true self, when it comes to know that the mind and body is yours. So, science is evolving and has been evolving. It has given us an abundance of everything in material. It has given us health, wealth, and wisdom to a certain extent. But gradually, like the way spiritualism has been degraded into hypocrisy, where each one is claiming I am spiritual and not knowing what spiritualism is all about. It's about who you are. It's self-inquiry. It's self-discovery. It's to know beyond mind and body. But no, sorry. Neuroscientists agree that over 95% of the mind functions subconsciously, meaning below conscious, randomly and recklessly in an unconscious manner. In its likes and dislikes, in its attachments and wants, into this and that. So, the end result is, today, science is being dictated by business magnates, by politicians, by name and fame. They're given a direction to work upon, not for the evolvement of mankind, but for what the politicians want or what the business magnates require, like you can see it in the case of COVID. 6 months, you have to have a vaccine. We don't care. We don't care. They ordered. That means scientists today require consciousness more than we do, because they are responsible to make us mortal, to make us into better human beings, mortal living beings into better human beings. So, since mind is limited to its wants and attachments, similarly science is limited to its mathematics, to its experimentation, to its physicality. It has no way, no other way, no other escapism but to embrace spiritualism, its subject. If it wishes to know something about life, scientists have to become more conscious in order to make their science more conscious. First, it's the scientists. They cannot be ruled and directed by others. That is the path of religion. Blind belief. If scientist starts believing, then where is doubt? All discoveries are made because we doubt. It makes our mind active and aware. Doubt is necessary. Doubt is necessary. To go into the unknown is necessary. But force the unknown into you like you have to have a vaccine within 6 months is dangerous. You never know what can happen tomorrow. If you play around with the genes, the study which we call as epigenetics today, what is happening to our plants and vegetables? Where we are bioengineering into the genes, into the RNA, DNA, etc. Why? What's happening? You can see it yourself. So if we go on playing around with the genetics like the way scientists are unconsciously doing it, unconsciously. So, science has no option. It is supreme in its objectivity, but it's yet is a part of spiritualism. Spiritualism is supreme and sublime in giving us what we call as life. So, please remember, both are essential, science as well as spiritualism. Both require the conscious principle. Today, both are lacking the conscious principle. Consciousness is low in the form of ego. So we call it subconscious. We cannot call it conscious. And if it is ruling us over 98%, 95%, whatever the percentage neuroscientists give, we need to awaken. And that is why in spiritualism you do not use any word. You simply use the word awakening. We need to awaken because according to spiritualists, the mind, even if it is awake, is asleep. Why? Because it is functioning subconsciously in an unconscious manner. It is asleep. Why it is asleep? Because you are asleep inside the mind as the soul. The soul which contains the spirit is asleep. It is not, it requires awakening. So awakening of the soul is required. The soul which is absolute, the soul which is in totality, the soul which makes the mind aware. So science can provide you materialism, but in totality we require wholesomeness. We require completion. We require fulfillment and absoluteness. And that can come through both material as well as spiritual. One needs to embrace each other. One needs to embrace each other for the oneness, for the interconnectedness, for the interrelatedness, for the interdependentness of what we are. We are dependent on the animals and the plants and the nature and the environment. We are not aloof. So we have no right to destroy on which we are dependent about and which we are doing so unconsciously and subconsciously, and we need to awaken from that. Namaste. Thank you very much.